Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Now to the British austerity program by the reactionary Tory Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne. It's 81 billion British pounds momentarily, 125 billion US dollars. It is the worst austerity program since Harold Wilson of the Labour Party, as I recall, went to the International Monetary Fund in 1975, right? This was the time when it was widely thought that Britain was sinking below the waters of the North Sea. They were ultimately saved by North Sea oil in terms of the currency situation, right? That staunched the bleeding of the pound. So now it's the Tories who are doing this. And it is an attack on the poor, the disadvantaged, the defenseless elements in society in the service of the ultra-privileged financier elite. The City of London triumphs, and the disadvantaged areas of the north of England, the Wales and other areas, take it very much on the chin. Above all, social welfare payments to the destitute, to pensioners, to old people, these are cut by 20 billion pounds. And we've also got 400,000 government jobs being cut. Notice that there's no tax on City of London financial turnover. The zombie bankers don't pay anything in this. There's no financial transfer tax. There's no attempt to shift some of the burden of this depression back onto the people who created it, right? The speculators who ruined Northern Rock and the Royal Bank of Scotland and Lloyd's Bank and the rest of them, reducing the entire City of London to a collection of zombies. None of that. So it is touted in Britain. Cameron, the Prime Minister, and Osborne have to pretend that their taxation measures and the sacrifices are progressive. They say those with the broadest backs should sacrifice the most, but they have to pay lip service. But that's not what this does. It's actually regressive. In other words, the sacrifices and the pain and the suffering and even the death, because that's what it comes down to. This is concentrated in the lower areas, the low earnings, and above all the destitute, the pensioners, the retired, and so forth. Krugman in the New York Times correctly notes that this is an austerity plan in the spirit of Andrew Mellon. Right? Andrew Mellon is the sort of proto-Austrian Secretary of the U.S. Treasury under whom Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover served. Pro-fascist, liquidate stocks, liquidate bonds, liquidate labor, liquidate the farmer, liquidate real estate, liquidate everybody, and then speculators like me will make a great killing in the aftermath. Again, too bad if you died, and too bad if you destroy a generation of human beings, too bad if you destroy your political system and you get Nazism. So the word from Krugman is that Britain in 2011 will look like Britain in 1931, a grim scene, a grim, hopeless, poverty-stricken area. In those days, it was the Labour Party. It was, of course, the Labour Party of Ramsay MacDonald. It's actually not even the Labour Party. It's the Ramsay MacDonald and Lord Snowdon at the Exchequer after they had separated themselves from the Labour Party. They actually betrayed their own party to join a so-called national unity government with Stanley Baldwin and the Tories, the Conservatives, and that the continuity of that government then became Sir Neville Chamberlain, the guy who appeased and supported Hitler, built up Hitler with the hope and the certainty that he could turn him east against Stalin, but that blew up in his face. It didn't it. The other big reminder here is Bruning, as I said, from 1930 to 1932, Bruning showed that these measures just don't work. They don't work. If you cut the budget now, if you fire 400,000 government employees, let's say, those 400,000 government employees are no longer paying taxes. Instead, they become a burden. They're going to go on unemployment benefits. They're going to go on whatever welfare there is. And even if they just turn to a life of crime, you're increasing your social costs. Ultimately, it'll be the police and the hospitals and others who will have to pay for this. The secret that is revealed by history is that a family budget around the kitchen table is not comparable to a modern nation state. The modern nation state can do things like create money and do other things, a whole array of policies that the family simply does not have, cannot have. It's in the nature of things. So when you cut the budget in this way and you think that you're going to reduce your budget deficit, in a depression, the role of the national government in the economy has become so large because the private sector has been decimated through its own speculative excesses that when you cut the government activity, you're lowering the overall rate of economic activity in the society. And what you'll find is that if you cut the budget today in these stupid ways, then in the out years, right, in the following year, you will find that your deficit is bigger, not smaller. So you're going to be doing huge damage to the society, and you're going to come back with a bigger deficit. And we're waiting for the statistics to come in on Governor Christie of New Jersey, the Garden State answer to Hermann Goering, the Garden State Goering. His measures will predictably increase the budget deficit in New Jersey by wrecking the economy. 44,000 jobs wiped out by Christie's decision not to build the Hudson River Tunnel. This rankles 122,000 jobs in the long run that will not come around because of the stupidity of the fascistoid Christie, the Garden State answer to Hermann Goering. So from London to Trenton, this is what's going on in the world. Now, a couple of other financial notes. If you look at Bank of America, not looking too good. You can make a pretty good argument that one of the reasons behind quantitative easing is a desire, they say, to stimulate the economy. It's really, given the way Bernanke and these people think, the economy means the banks. So the purpose of quantitative easing, QE2, the QE2 that turns into the Titanic, is to save banks. And we've talked during the summer about the rumors of the insolvency of Citibank and Bank of America. And if you look at the stock price right now, people on the street, the market seems to be telling us something. And all you good Austrians out there, you should listen. The market is speaking. Bank of America's stock is now in the $11 to $11.50 range. If the Bank of America stock goes below 11 or 10, then you're probably in a death spiral. You're probably back in the same situation you saw with the stock of Bear Stearns in February and March of 2008, and then what you saw happening with Lehman Brothers all during the summer of 2008, and then what happened to AIG and Merrill Lynch and Washington Mutual. You know the drill. Stocks under heavy attack in all of those areas, sometimes for good reasons, sometimes not. But in this case, it looks like Bank of America really is weak, particularly because of their involvement in the foreclosure stuff. So there's a big desire by these bankers to restart foreclosures. Let's see if they do it right before the election. It might lead to some kind of a backlash. One hopes that it will. So the outcome of this is mass organizations of the French model are a good thing. A culture of protest and militant defense of one's own economic rights are good. Obviously, if you follow the Austrian school, you don't think you have any rights, so you're completely neutered. You become a political eunuch as a result of the Austrian school because you don't think you have any rights, so therefore if they take them away from you, it doesn't matter. It's just the ups and downs of the market. So fighting is good, but indispensable is program. And if you want a program, you can't make sense of the world without a program. Go to the top of my website, tarpley.net, and you will find a comprehensive 5-point program to solve the world economic depression. We'll be back in a minute with the Greyhound.